Greetings, I'm Rob Chappers. Hello, welcome to my channel. Today, I'm going to do Chapper Show and Tell. Did one recently on the Chapman Guitars Instagram page, and it was really well received, and a lot of people asked me to do it a little bit more in depth. And so I kind of thought, you know what? I've got a load of old shit I can show you that might be vaguely entertaining. For some of the people who haven't been following me for a long time, and even for some of the people that have, I suppose. Let's start with some really random bits and bobs. So this Boss GE7 is one of the first pedals I ever bought. I mean, it must be ancient by now. I have no idea how old this is. But I bought this from a shop called Stag Music in Trowbridge, Wiltshire, where I grew up to be a young lad. And the reason I got it is because I wanted, it's almost embarrassing to admit, but I wanted to get that scooped mid metal tone that I knew and loved from bands like Metallica. And I was a huge fan of Metallica, Sepultura, Testament, really into Testament, Megadeth, Pantera, but mainly Metallica was one of my favourite bands. And I knew that they did a thing called scooping mid. And so I did this, which you'll see in the close-up now. And I also worked out that if your amplifier had one channel, and back in the day I was using a rack Marshall amplifier, into a powered 1x12 speaker, actually two of them as a stereo, I think, which is kind of cool, quite a cool rig. I realised that if I dropped the volume on the level and then defeated it, it gave me a boost, or the other way around if I added level in and dropped it off, you know. But it was kind of cool. You could cut level or you could add level. I liked that. When you added level, it was a little bit Ibanez tube screamery. And so it was quite a cool pedal for one of my first pedals for sure. Pretty sure my first ever pedal was the classic plastic tube screamer, to be honest with you. But this has stood me in good stead ever since I was 17 when I bought this pedal, maybe 17 and a half, just preparing to head off to the Guitar Institute to learn all about being a guitarist. There you go. Item number one of Show and Tell with Chappers. Let's move swiftly along to some other exciting things. So, if you saw the Instagram posts on Chapman, you'll already know what these are. Two little wooden blocks, but these have got a bit of a story, and I love these things. I will hopefully never lose them. They've been with me every step of the way. We'll start with this one. So this, when I went to World Musical Instruments, in Korea, South Korea, and I went to manufacture this guitar. Let me grab one for you. This is a Chapman Ghost Fret, and it was really exciting for me. It's the first time that I'd really gone to a factory, picked out blanks and spec'd things and looked at CAD and tweaked the balance and all sorts of cool things. And we cut out a prototype.
This is so awesome to see prototype 1 Ghost Fret being manufactured just right in front of me, being born.
Prototype number 1 was going to be made of swamp ash, and actually I think we're selling it at some point soon. We're actually selling lots of the old Chapman prototypes because we've frankly got hundreds of guitars that are prototyped. This is the first piece of wood that flew off of the outside of where the CAD was cutting, and I picked it off the floor, and I've had it ever since. So it's the first piece of wood that didn't make it into a guitar, but was there during the process of the first ever Ghost Fret being made. I know it's a sentimental thing, but for me, it was a really amazing opportunity to do something cool, and it was an amazing memory. This goes with this. This is the first ever Chapman guitar. In fact, it's so first that it predates Chapman. It's a pre-Chapman Chapman guitar. I can't explain how this feels. Had a meeting with the guys, and it's not going to be Gould. This is going to be Chapman. I'm actually launching my own guitar brand. This is the first time I'm publicly announcing it. Chapman Guitars launches as of the production of this guitar. So, I'm now Rob Chapman from Chapman Guitars. This is the signature guitar that I was given by a brand called Gould, and we were going to make 50 of them. And we ended up making roughly 500, selling them all, and they ended up being released under the brand Chapman. I was allowed to launch my own brand. So this is prototype number 1, ML1, and it's the only Chapman guitar that has the brand name Gould on it before I was allowed to launch my own brand. So it's a pre-Chapman guitar, and it contains a lot of the original design features that the ML1 ended up having, but it's a little bit different. It is incredibly heavy, which I kind of like, to be honest with you. And it has headstock logo. I think they just pulled a font off of Microsoft Word or something. Had the classic Monkey Lord face on the back. It was Monkey Lord approved. This one doesn't have any kind of serial number. And they all came with a kill pot, volume, tone, hum, sing, Wilkinson trem, and just this one has just like a plastic nut and a really random string retainer up here. But I loved this guitar, and took it to my friend Eddie Kramer and showed him, and he was like, yeah, I think you could do this and tweak it here and there. We did a few things, and we ended up with the first run of ML1s. So I call this guitar Mother. It's because it's the pre-Chapman, the only one to pre-exist its own brand. It's a weird situation. And this block was a tremolo block that came with every single of the first ever ML1s. And written on it is a little inscription that stands for, I am open and receptive to all good. The first is like an arrow pointing to a dot, I, and then the expanding, almost like an I Ching element, expanding block means I'm open, and then the Y shape receiving a dot is open, and then the triangle represented everything, and then the circle with a dot meant good. And I put that on every single one of these tremolo blocks that went in the ML1, and this is the first one that was ever made. And I've kept it because this actually it means a lot to me. I've got this cut on my arm and a tattoo, and it was something that helped me through a lot of dark times, and now times are a lot brighter. I've got one more thing to show you. Actually, 3 more things to show you. 4 more things to show you. This little random shell box, this is an anomaly. This is mega sentimental. So I got given this when we went to Crete, I believe, on holiday. I think my dad bought this for me. You know what, that may not even be entirely true. I definitely was given it by my parents, and I definitely went to Crete when I was really young, and it was like a memorable, like one of our first ever holidays abroad, and it was like a week and a half or something, which at the time was huge, and I went snorkeling and all sorts of stuff. Got this box maybe when I was 13, 14, and ever since I've had it, and some of the shells are falling off, and I've always kept my guitar tools in it, my Allen keys, spare bits and bobs, and more recently, my slide. I have many slides, but this is the only one I use live. I don't know what I'll do if I lose it. I was given it by somebody who made it from the end of a wine bottle, and he carved and polished and did it by hand, and it just has this incredible sound. I really love it, and I hope that it never loses me somehow. I should probably try and find a way of replicating it and make 1,000 so that I'm always safe. But this is the best slide I have ever used. It's incredible. This is the first vinyl I ever had manufactured. It's Dorjay's Centered in One. The whole process was just really an amazing experience for me. Having a piece of music mastered for vinyl, with strings on it and all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's a really amazing experience. And I don't know, man, there's something about hearing orchestral music with heavy guitars on a vinyl that really, it brings the music to life. And for me, it was a huge sense of accomplishment when we brought this out. We sold lots of them. And I really feel like this represents Dorje in its best. And I wish we'd done a lot more to push this recording at the time, but we all had all sorts of things going on, babies and all sorts of other projects and bits. We're going to be releasing another album soon and doing something else cool with this. So yeah, this is centered on one of my bands, Dorje, and I love this. This is a very special recording. So, to my right, many of you are asking already in the comment section below, I can sense that from you, is a one-off handmade plexi from a guy called Coolidge, Charles Coolidge. Charles, if you're watching, I haven't heard from you in, I don't know, man, maybe 6 years. It feels like it's about 6 years. Reach out and say hello, officialrobchappers@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. He made me this amplifier, point-to-point wired. It is stunning work on the inside, and it sounds incredible. This thing absolutely rips. It's such a beast of a guitar. I mean, it's really heavy and unwieldy, and sometimes this doesn't quite sit in the right place and it doesn't connect. It needs an oil, it needs a grease. Frankly, it needs to be looked after a bit better, but I love it. It's a piece of the history of Chapman guitars. 10 years of Chapman guitars. It's crazy, isn't it? I've got a couple of other things to show you and then we're done. This is prototype 1 of second run ML1 necks. This is the first ML1 neck we ever made in Korea from World Musical Instruments all those years ago. So this is old. I actually had a pair of them made and I'm really wondering what I should do with them. I mean, it's just a neck. If you've got any ideas, please let me know in the comment section below. What should I do with a pair of necks? Just needs a nut and it could seriously sit on a guitar and do something cool. Finally, the first ever pedals that I have made. These are the Snake Oil Fine Instruments pedals. Marvelous engine and the very thing. Really proud of this. This is, for me, it's huge. I've always wanted to make pedals and it's quite frankly an exciting and rewarding experience going through the process. It's marginally easier than making a guitar because you've got less variables, less wood to move and do things. And it's just a satisfying thing to end up with a couple of boxes and you open one up and there's a pedal inside. And then you plug it on your pedal board and then it makes things sound, sticker just came off, sound better than it currently did before. Oh, it's a little feet. I didn't even know that we made little tiny rubber feet for these. That's really good of us. I'm glad that I decided to do that initiative. I didn't think of that, it was probably Dave. So yeah, very thing, and the marvellous engine. And these things are insane. Marvelous Engine is basically a heavy overdrive with a slight fuzz, but you can put it in front of a clean and it will give you the sound of a distorted amplifier. And the very thing, do you require better tone? I've got the very thing for you. It's the very thing. It's a boosting, overdriving, clipping thing, but you can back it right down and it does a beautiful subtle thing to the plexi like you've been hearing today, because all the gain has come from the very thing. Or you can crank it and it's a ridiculously stupid thing. I don't recommend that you do that though. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do. So yeah, first time I made pedals. I've got 3 or 4 prototypes of these. It took us a long time to bring these to market because there was just a lot to do. You know what? I didn't know. I didn't know that we also supplied a sticker with all of them. That's cool. And a little business card. Snake Oil Fine Instruments, we thank you for your acquisition. Please take some time to visit our worldwide emporium and peruse our selection of machines and merchandise. I did know we've made that. I didn't know about the sticker. That's cool. Well, that's about it. I hope you've enjoyed looking through my random jumble. Have a tremendously nice day. Chappers out.